Our worship theme for the month of December is plastered out on our wayside pulpit sign on Main Street. Thanks to Cindy, our wonderful office administrator, as we call her, who takes care of things like that. Opening to wonder. I thought I could just tell you that Chase and Gage are the sermon today. Shortest sermon ever. They'll tell you all you need to know about wonder. What can I add? But I'll try. Opening to wonder assumes that there are wonderful things out there, and also maybe wonderful things inside of us, just waiting for us to notice them. Opening to wonder assumes that right alongside the hard and the painful things happening in the world, and maybe in some of our lives too, there's no lack of wonder. It is just the noticing, the opening to wonder. That's the harder part, especially if we read or listen to the news at all. We learned this week that 80% of the people of Gaza have been displaced from their homes. The shelters there are overflowing. Families are living on the streets, and there's simply no safe place to go anymore. This week, our former student minister, Reverend Karen Johnston, is ministering to her new congregation in Burlington, Vermont, in the wake of the shooting of 3 young men of Palestinian descent, college students who were visiting for the weekend. It is hard to see the wonder. This is actually the second time I've tried to preach about opening to wonder just as we're crossing that threshold into the winter holiday season. I tried it last year on this very same Sunday, but my sermon to you, I felt, wasn't particularly wonderful, so I wanted to try again. Part of the problem, I realize, is I am not great at wonder in the first week of December, which is also the same time I am creating lists with ominous titles, such as the universal colossal list of everything we have to do this month. Item number 1 on that list is do not freak out. To which Lee added, do not make any major life-changing decisions. This week I also created a list titled all the volunteers we need for all the holiday services, which at last count was 181 slots for the 8 services we have between now and January 1st. So I am trying to return to number 1 on the universal colossal list. Unfortunately, this is not my first rodeo. I know that we will all get through this month. I know that we will pass candlelight to each other on Christmas Eve. I know that we will sing carols and that the singing will be beautiful. I know that this will probably not be the year that we set the church on fire, because we already almost did it this morning. So that's out of the way now. Check. We can cross it off. I also know that I will manage to get some presents under the tree for my children who are no longer children and have asked for, and I quote, a vacuum cleaner and a French coffee press. My children are by now also very experienced in the fact that Santa is so tired by the time he gets to our house that Santa wraps the presents by stuffing them in bags. I also know there will be moments of wonder mixed in among all of the moments of stress and all of our endless to-do lists, and all of our worry and sadness. A colleague of mine, Reverend Victoria Safford, once wrote about how on an early December afternoon she found this strange, lovely note scotch-taped to her office door, and it read, "I forgot to tell you when we met this morning, there are little gold stars all mixed in with the bittersweet. It's all in there, mixed up together." And my colleague thought exactly what I would think upon getting a note like this, that the person was talking about our life, that the stars and the bittersweet are all mixed up together because, of course, that is what life is like. We hold the painful, the poignant, the sweet, all mixed up with the sorrow and courage and wonder and goodness. So Victoria Safford thought her parishioner was making poetry out of the raw, tender, hard stuff of life they had been talking about at their meeting, making poetry out of the pain, as you so often do. And my colleague was deeply moved by it, just the way I am when I see how you carry the hard and heavy parts of your lives with such grace and humor and gratitude. But then Victoria got a voicemail message the next morning from the same person who'd left the note. And the message said this: "Hey, it's me calling back about the stars and bittersweet. I forgot to tell you I stuffed it all in big garbage bags, and they're in the closet in the social hall. Those berries make a terrible mess." As Safford writes it, as it turns out, there were no metaphors at all. Before our appointment, that person had been cleaning up after a big church party, and the decorations had been branches of bittersweet and those long lengths of tinsel with gold stars stuck on them. So it was really all garbage. But of course it wasn't all garbage. At least it wasn't only garbage. Because sometimes, really, usually, often, life is stars and bittersweet. Life is trash bags and poetry. The depths of human hope and suffering, and the details of cleanup. Safford writes, "I know that I am called. I suspect we are all called to places where the sacred and the ordinary are all mixed up together. And to that, I would add, it is our spiritual work to just keep noticing." That's what Mary Oliver means, of course, when she gives us her instructions for living a life. Pay attention, be astonished, tell about it. That's one of the most important things we do here in this simple white room. We pay attention so that we might learn to be astonished, so that we might hear and see and feel, know wonder in the midst of everything. Not to know wonder despite the frustrations and sorrows, but right alongside them, and then to tell about it. It's a strange thing we do here, actually, to sit in this room, to accomplish nothing, to produce nothing, other than to be here, to listen to the music of the morning, to feel our bodies hopefully at rest or a little more at rest. We come to this place where time moves slowly enough that we might touch and see and feel wonder in the faces of babies and also in their sleep-deprived parents, in the words of poems the smiles of strangers. The contemplative monk Thomas Merton referred to his time of morning prayer as keeping a daily appointment with mystery. Keeping a daily appointment with mystery. I love this idea. We could put it right into our Google calendars. Daily appointment with mystery. And then when it pops up with that 10-minute warning, we could decide what to do. We could stop the car and get out and look at the sky. We could take 4 deep breaths. We could sing one verse of a song we love. We could kiss the dog. To keep a daily appointment with wonder, to keep even this weekly appointment with wonder, it changes us. It helps us to see and feel and know the world with all of its sorrow as also a place of astonishing beauty and goodness. To know ourselves, imperfect as we are, as also full of astonishing beauty and goodness. One of the reasons I love Brian Doyle's book, River of Song, Notes on Wonder, so much is because of how he hears and sees and notices and then writes about these tiny wonders of the world. His essay called Cool Things is pages of this, and I'm just going to share a tiny bit of it here. He writes, I sing a song of things that make us smile, that just for an instant let us see the incomprehensible, inexhaustible, inexplicable yes. Such as, for example, to name a few, the way the sun crawls over the rim of the world every morning, like a child's face beaming from a pool, all fresh from the womb of the dark. And the way jays hop and damselflies do that geometric arrow amazing thing, and the way the young mother at the bus stop has her infant swaddled against her chest like a blinking extra heart. And the way seals peer at me owlishly from the surf like rubbery grandfathers, and the way no pavement can ultimately defeat a tiny, relentless, green growing thing. And the way infants finally discover to their absolute agogishment that those fists swooping by like fleshy tiny comets are theirs. And the way crows arrange themselves sometimes on a fence like notes of a song I don't yet know. And the way car engines sigh for a few minutes after you turn them off. And the way every once in a while someone you hardly know says something so piercingly honest that you just want to kneel down right there in the grocery store aisle near the pears. He goes on and on like this, and then he ends this way. That is the song of life playing for us. I know all too well that the story of the world is entropy, that things fly apart, that we sicken, we fail, we grow weary, we divorce, we are hammered and hounded by loss. But I also know with all of my muddled heart that we are carved out of immense holiness. We are carved out of immense holiness and surrounded by wonder. We are wonders. We just have to notice. To which I can only add, if you need a teacher in the ways of wonder, find a baby. They'll help you.